is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Okwade and this is Africa Now. Ghana's economic crisis seems to be affecting all sectors, with commercial sex workers also bearing the brunt of the meltdown. Until recently, many of them say they had been charged 50 cedis for a short session that lasts between 15 to 20 minutes and 300 cedis for a full night. Since the increase in fuel prices, which has affected the prices of goods and services across most parts of the world, the majority of the sex workers have increased their charges by up to 100%. Huge layers of plastic waste ride the water of majestic Lake Kivu and block the turbines of the largest hydroelectric plant in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Livian Chizungu, production manager at the dam's power station, said that when the piles of waste that can reach a depth of almost 46 feet divers get trapped, towns in the area are deprived of power. To combat the plague of plastic waste filling the world's lakes, oceans and lands, the United Nations launched negotiations in March in Kenya for a global treaty against plastic pollution. The United Nations Migration Agency has confirmed that over 220,000 people have been affected by the flooding in South Sudan's Unity State. As a result of the floods, there is a surge in malnutrition, food shortages, and the spread of various diseases. This year's flooding is one of the worst in 60 years, with the UN Refugee Agency blaming climate change for the disaster. Now, the UN's World Food Programme on Tuesday called for quick and concerted efforts to avert a drought-induced humanitarian catastrophe in Ethiopia. The WFP said livestock are dying, crops are failing, and an estimated 5.7 million people wake up hungry every day in southern and southeastern Ethiopia as the Horn of Africa grapples with the most severe drought since 1981. It stressed immediate and scaled-up support is critical to avoid a major humanitarian crisis in the drought-affected areas of Ethiopia and help communities become more resilient to extreme climate shocks. Now, Ronald Ssegawa said Uganda security agents pulled him off the streets in January last year, burned him and pulled out his fingernails. His crime was supporting the opposition. The 22-year-old is one of hundreds of government critics and opposition supporters detained and tortured in the last 3 years, especially around the 2021 presidential vote, US-based Human Rights Watch said on Tuesday. Responding to the Human Rights Watch report, military spokesperson Brigadier Felix said, and police spokesperson Fred Enanga said, torture was not tolerated with culprits prosecuted when caught. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. You're watching Africa Now. Business and more coming your way after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back in business. Ethiopia has embarked on a major reform to liberalize and strengthen its banking sector by opening the door for Kenyan banks and financial institutions such as KCB Group to set up operations in the populous nation. Ethiopia constituted a committee to amend Ethiopia's half-a-century-old monetary code, local reports said, meaning the long-awaited easing of limitations on foreign banks making investment in Ethiopia has inched closer. The new financial service code will determine engagement modalities of foreign banks in Ethiopia's financial industry. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said restrictive COVID-19 regulations that have weighed on the nation's struggling economy for 2 years would be removed on Wednesday, with the national state of disaster also to end soon. President Ramaphosa said local research shows that between 60 to 80% of the population has some kind of COVID-19 immunity, either from previous infection or through vaccination. Most of the country has been back in business for months, and the latest changes will see the return of popular social gatherings and more economic activities. Now away from business. The trial for the October 1987 assassination of former Burkina Faso President Thomas Sankara and his colleagues resumed on Tuesday. The trial was suspended for 3 weeks because a constitutional court verdict linked to the case was pending. Military prosecutors from Burkina Faso are requesting 30 years jail sentence for former President Blaise Compaoré over the murder of his predecessor. Burkina Faso's Transitional Assembly formally took office on Tuesday. The 71-member assembly will be responsible for voting on the text of reforms planned during the transition. The country's Transitional Assembly took office 2 months after a military takeover led to the ouster of former President Kabore. The body is made up of 71 deputies, 21 appointed by the president and the remainder chosen by the security forces, civil groups, political parties, and the country's 13 regions. The presence of Russian private military contractor Wagner Group in Sudan was denied by the Foreign Ministry on Tuesday. Representatives of the United States, United Kingdom, and Norway wrote in a piece published in a Sudanese newspaper on Monday that the mercenary group with ties to Moscow spreads disinformation on social media and engages in illicit activities connected to gold mining. Sudan's Foreign Ministry accused the diplomats of trying to interfere in Sudanese affairs and of dragging the country arbitrarily into the Ukraine conflict. And that is it on Africa Now. For more updates, to visit our website at www.TOSTVNetwork.com. Follow us and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember to subscribe on YouTube. To stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Abigail Ukwade. Thanks for watching.